Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rachel's Reviews. And this is a special episode of Talking Animation where we are going to be talking about the new film, The Mitchells versus the Machines. I really enjoyed it so much, and I thought it would be fun to get to talk about it. And Stanford, thank you so much.
Thanks, Rachel, for including me on this. So fun to be on this, uh,
Well,
sequence or
yeah,
series of your of your reviews.
yeah.
It's an honor. So thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. And yeah, we had done for Obscure Animations, we did Smurfs the Last Village for Sony Pictures Animation. And then I did an episode of the podcast with Conrado, my friend Conrado, on Spider-Man to the Spider-Verse. So maybe that's just a new thing that we do episodes
You bring
on.
in a guest with
So,
for your Sony.
yeah,
Yeah.
because it's really pretty amazing what they have accomplished and how they've been able to turn things around after a bunch of not great films that they did. And now it's one I genuinely look forward to every time they have a movie coming out.
Oh, same here. Nothing says it better, Rachel, than your tweet, which I think went,
It
that
was
got a lot
insane.
of traction with, the
Yeah.
Emoji Movie. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah, that I put out a little tweet said when things are going bad, just remember that Sony Pictures Animation started with the or that had the Emoji Movie, and then now they had Mitchell's vs. the Machines,
yeah.
and it got like 80,000 likes. It was insane.
Well, it was well deserved, Rachel, and so true. I mean,
Yeah.
you look, and I didn't see the Emoji Movie because there was just like no way I was ever gonna put myself through it.
Uh
You know,
huh.
it looks so horrible.
Yeah.
And then you watch something like, both, Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse, but the Mitchells versus the Machines. And there is this youthful exuberance and creative excellence that you just think, oh my goodness, this studio is on fire.
Hmm.
And in the best sense of the word.
Yeah.
And I'm with you. I can't wait to see what's in store.
And it's not just the stories, which are great, and the scripts, but the animation
Oh,
is
the
so
animation
beautiful.
is amazing. It's
Hmm.
it's so fresh and so uh beautifully done. Yeah, I am
Yeah.
with you. So impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't said that the I will always defend the animation in Smurfs Lost Village. Like maybe the story could be better, but that animation is beautiful.
It is beautiful, and they aced it because
Yeah.
I was, and we had talked about this too. I got to participate on that podcast, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. And you and I talked about the
Yep.
Smurfs: The Lost Village and for obscure animation, and the I'm with you. I was those horrible um hybrid
Yeah.
films were with the Smurfs. Again, not that I'm a big Smurfs aficionado, because I'm not, but I was just those were such a travesty, and then this beautiful movie that they put out, with that I just felt, yeah, this does those characters. Paya would be very proud of
Yeah.
that. Would just do those characters proud, and it's been really a pleasure to watch.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, this was really fun not only to watch this movie, but also I got the chance to interview the director,
Yeah, which was so cool.
Mike Rianda, because it that was the nice thing with Netflix is uh they put you right in contact with the PR person for the movie when you're requesting the screener, and so it make it very easy for you to request interviews if you like the movie, because you're talking right to the PR people, or you could ask to be part of the junket, or kind of a thing. And sometimes they invite you, and sometimes you have to ask. And but I liked the movie so much that I said, hey, I write for Rotoscopers, a big animation website. I would love for the chance to talk with one of the directors. And I got the chance to talk to Mike, and we had a really, really great conversation. You can listen over on the audio podcast, Rachel's Reviews, or at Rotoscopers. You can read or listen to the interview. And there was a lot of really interesting stuff about the inspiration that came right from his own family,
Yes.
and some of the things about how they developed style, and particularly the way they collaborated with Lord and Miller, which we'll talk about. But yeah, overall, what did you think of the movie The Mitchells vs. Machines?
Oh, I liked it very much.
Yeah,
I was so wowed by the visual style,
yeah,
and kind of a family comedy. Sometimes those are kind of hit and miss for me,
yeah,
but the family comedy, meaning that the dynamic within the family is really kind of like the main storyline. The But this one was so clever.
yeah,
They had this family that's trying to figure out, well, each other and what they're about, and then tied in with the robot apocalypse was just and again, just every single frame of the film is a knockout. So
yeah.
yeah.
I put on when I my social media tweet after I saw it, I said that I immediately purchased the art book, which is true, and I just got it this week.
Oh,
Got the
cool.
art book. Yeah,
I
and
bet it's a neat one.
yeah, yeah, I can't wait to dive into it. But it was just so beautiful, and I just left it thinking, who can relate to this?
Oh yeah,
These characters are
exactly.
so relatable.
Yeah, anybody, and that's pretty much all of us with a family can,
Yeah,
can I think can relate
yeah.
yeah.
Because I remember, I mean, my mom was pregnant when I went away to school, to college, and I had my little brother, was 2 at the time, and the last thing that I wanted to do was to be around I had a 10-year-old sister, 2-year-old brother, and this new baby and the stresses that came along with all of that. And so the last thing that I wanted to be was to be at home.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I connected with Katie so much of her desire to go, and I mean, it didn't really have anything for me. It didn't really have anything to do with the personality of my parents. Like, I wasn't, I guess, rejecting them. I was just wanted my freedom, my independence, and my mom would joke sometimes that I was ready to move out the moment I was born. My first word was stop, if that tells you something.
Oh, that's great.
And so, yeah, I was very independent and wanted to do things my own way. I struggled being obedient. and um, and so I just really wanted to go out, and I'd gotten into the school of my dreams. I'd always wanted to go to BYU, and I didn't think that I was going to get in because my ACT score wasn't that high, because I'm not good at math or science. And then I got in and I was freaking out. Absolutely freaking out. Um, and so I just really related to Katie. I mean, I think that pretty much all of film Twitter is just like, this is our spirit animal. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the way that Katie was written, and then of course the animated, um,
mhm,
very relatable, and really such a good character. I mean, and I
mhm,
think that's another thing that was so nice and refreshing about this film too, is that there was just such solid character development.
yeah,
Like all the way around,
yeah.
and uh, and done in such just a nice touch, with everybody. I really admired that.
Because even a minor character like the brother Aaron, I
Yes,
loved him
he
so
was
much.
he was fantastic,
Yeah,
and yeah, and m- minor character, but instantly relatable, because I think all of us could relate, at that age, kind of what that's like, and and but then also just great comedy from him too. Yeah,
yeah.
terrific.
Moochie the dog,
Oh, my
the
stars.
best.
The dog. I love how you talk about, with your interview with Mike Rihanna about the
I was like,
dog.
I have to ask a question about the dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is all based on his family, basically,
Hmm.
and which you gotta give them some credit that they, said, how'd they feel about it? And, they were all seemed like really supportive, which that's gotta be kind of weird to see.
Yeah. See kind of your own family dynamic there on
Uh-huh.
the big screen.
'Cause I asked him,
Yeah.
"Is it too strong to say the Mitchells are based on your family?" "No, they're entirely based on my family."
Yeah, he was like really clear about
Yeah.
that.
He said, "My dad even looks exactly like Rick."
Yeah.
And he said and he's like, "You gave me a little extra hair, I appreciate that." So, yeah, and, uh, he it sounds like they were good sports about it, which I really appreciate,
Yes.
uh but yeah, what do we think of the dad of Rick?
You know, Rick is probably, I think, the most complicated character of the
Mhm.
of the bunch. Uh, I really like how, sorry to use this metaphor, but Rick's almost like an onion. You know,
Yeah,
stuff gets peeled away. Initially, you just think, oh, he's just this jerky dad.
yeah,
You know, uh, but there's a lot going on with him, and I think I could really I really appreciated that because I felt it. I mean, I don't. I mean, Rick is not at all like my dad, but yet he was
yeah,
a lot like my dad. If that
right,
makes sense. Like, uh, my dad was just. I mean, he's a wonderful man. I love him and I miss him every day. But
mhm,
because he passed a few years ago. But my dad was such. He just didn't really talk a lot about stuff. He was just about his business,
mhm,
and that's how he showed his love, by providing for the family, and I think he sacrificed a lot. Like when you finally learn about that story about Rick sacrificing his that log cabin that he built,
mhm.
you
Yeah,
know,
that's such a good moment, and I think that that's, like, such a part of growing up is you kind of transition from seeing your parents as
yeah,
these sort of authority figures, which they are for so long, to being, like, real people that are flawed and kind of accepting them for who they are, and I kind of had a realization a couple of years ago, with my dad that thinking why I don't know what how does he express love? I was thinking of it like with my dad and because he's not like a huge talker. He has a lot of energy, but he's not someone who likes to just sort of I don't know hash out problems and talk through things that much. And where my mom is totally that's totally her, and she's the person that you call when you just want to vent or whatever.
yeah,
Anyway, and I realized that my dad shows love through rescue. Like when you are in a bind, he's there and he's will do anything to help. And I think that's why so many people love my dad because he's been there for them in the, in the tough times.
yeah,
Uh and he's an incredible home teacher. That's a thing in our church where you help people and he was always great at that. And I think that it just made me kind of realize that whenever I needed, whenever there was anything that was really a real problem, he's always there
hmm
and incredibly supportive. And that kind of made me see it in a new light. And I think that's just part of, like I said, part of getting older.
Yeah, I do think so too. As part of just maturing and
Hmm.
and understanding things. I
Yeah.
appreciate you telling me that about your dad. One thing I should clarify about with Rick the character and my dad that are very different is that uh, my dad typically was would not. make like really crazy decisions or put the family in jeopardy, like Rick,
Right. Oh, yeah.
like every minute. Like, I mean, and they played it up for humor, but I'm thinking of
Right.
like the donkey ride, and all this stuff. Just like
Well,
everything goes horribly wrong, and I mean it's funny,
my
but
dad he does love the outdoors like Rick, and he loves dirt biking, and he has that kind of adventurous spirit about him,
yes,
which is not me really at all, except for the open. I guess some people would see the open water swimming that I do as being kind of crazy like that, I guess. But other than that, I don't know. I don't like camping at all.
uh-huh, yeah,
I don't like I don't like sleeping on the ground. I don't like being dirty. I don't like bugs. And so
yeah.
camping is just not, and I swear I've had the worst luck. Whenever we go camping, there's always it's just like rain and like terrible. But my dad's, he also has a cultural side to him. He loves classical music, he loves opera, he loves going to shows, like at Hale Theater, and so he loves music. So he's a I think a bit of a Renaissance man in
Yeah.
that way. He loves some historical kind of fiction type books, like uh oh gosh, what's the name of that author? Stephen Ambrose, I think is his
Oh
name.
yeah.
Yeah, he loves books like that. So yeah, I think it would have been easy to have made Rick like a kind of home improvement, Tim Allen
Yes.
home improvement knockoff, or
Yes.
even Homer Simpson although Homer certainly has his moments of more nuance,
Yeah.
but it would have been easy to have just kind of made him like that. But he's not. There's more to him than that.
Hmm.
And that's what Katie starts to realize by the end of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, certainly a robot apocalypse will bring the family closer together. And I liked the mother Linda too. She was great.
I liked her very
Yeah.
much too. And and I think in so many ways she was a classic mom, and I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah.
And that this is mother who she's the peacemaker. She is fiercely loyal. Loves and she loves them all. And I really liked how her character. Because I didn't feel like her character. This is my opinion, and this isn't the slam. It didn't really have much of a character arc because she was already great, and she was
Yeah.
just like there to kind of keep everybody alive and
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
keep them
She,
from killing. I
she
mean,
was a good
basically killing each
supporting
other.
character in
Yeah,
that
she's
way.
terrific. Yeah,
Yeah. She was fun. And we'll talk about
excuse
the
me.
voice acting, but Maya Rudolph does a great job.
Yeah, and I think that influenced too because every time I hear her, I was like, oh, it's Maya Rudolph. I love her.
Mhm.
So yeah,
And the director, actually did the voice for Aaron,
I know. I
which
love
is fun.
that because his voice was so great for
Hmm.
the character. Yeah.
I didn't have very much time. I only had like 15 minutes
Yes.
with Mike. So there were many more questions. Maybe if I ever get to do a follow-up interview, I can ask, because a lot of times they start with I mean, they always start with a rough track
Yeah, it was
of
one of those like it
just
was the scratch track.
and then
They
yeah, and then sometimes they think it works, and so they go with it. Like, I know that that's how uh um Joe Ranft ended up being Heimlich in Bug's Life.
yeah.
Was It was on the scratch track, and they just liked you did a good job, so they kept it.
Yeah, I think that's happened with a few Pixar projects. I know, the voice of Rhino, the um, in Bolt, is the same deal. Is
Uh-huh.
an animator got the gig.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mark Wald, who's from Salt Lake City. He's a very nice
Uh-huh.
man. He's a very nice guy. I know
Yeah.
him, but yeah.
So what do we think about Katie's little movies?
Yeah,
It's so
they're
good.
they're so funny, and I mean, honestly, I think what I love about them is I mean, we've all seen those kind of videos on YouTube,
Hmm.
and but these are amped up. I think there's a real uh, I mean, I love the crude artistry of them,
Yeah.
just and yeah,
Like,
I think
I
they're a kick.
I think that's what's so exciting about the world now, that anybody can create.
Yeah,
Like, you could create in a way in the past, but not like you can now, where anybody can have a channel and just start creating, and it has its downsides, of course, but
yeah.
I think that can be quite powerful. And yeah, there's some really fun, like Dial B for Burger, Dog
Uh,
Cop 3 and 4,
yeah.
Barfy, The Portrait of an Idiot on Fire, the Zombie Party, Going There, The Perks of Having Only One Friend,
Yeah.
and Good Cop, Dog Cop.
Good cop, dog cop was that's a pivotal one, as we know in
Yeah,
the plot.
yeah,
But they're I think I thought they were really fun, a fun way to. Well, and I like to how she's a home creator, home based creator, and kind of a self taught creator, and it launches her, which
yeah.
in a way was I think like the directors or the co-directors own career, like you had talked about in the interview with him.
Yeah, because he started it he was at Jib Jab,
Yeah,
the greeting card
that greeting
company,
card,
which I thought was fun.
online greeting card. Yeah,
Hmm. And then he became friends with Alex Hirsch and ended up on Gravity Falls. And the animation for this movie is so beautiful, and evidently they wanted a similar animation style to Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. And I think that they've really succeeded. Obviously, this is not as comic booky as that, but the way that it blends 2D with CG is so seamless and so gorgeous that I just love it.
I do too. I just love how it's just it's its own thing. All of the character designs really are characters we haven't seen in a feature animated film. And
Yeah.
and I also loved how they I thought excuse me, really successfully blended uh a 2D look with the 3D with
Yeah.
technology, and how they also just used all those um little like hand painted flourishes
Yeah.
throughout that's very reminiscent of Katie's own art.
Yeah, and it was
And
interesting when I talked to Mike. I asked him about the visual appeal, and he. I remember when Zootopia was first announced, and they had um the concept art and how beautiful it looked. And the movie is beautiful, but there was always a side of me that was like, "Oh, I wish it looked like it did in that concept art."
yeah,
Uh, and what he said was kind of on that line. So he said, and we were like, okay, what if? Because if you're in animation, you've seen the art books. You always look at the art book and you're like, why didn't they make it look like that?
hmm,
What is this? This stuff was great. And then they make that in the movie. Why didn't they make that in the movie? So
yeah,
we were like, how can we make the art book obsolete? Not really, it's filled with great stuff that we didn't put in the movie, but we did want it to feel like, okay, we really just took the stuff in the art book and it just started moving.
yeah,
I thought that was so cool
oh yeah, absolutely.
because I felt that many, many times, even in movies
Hmm.
that I love, in looking at, because I love art books, and looking through the concept art and being like, oh, why didn't they do that? That looks so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And I just love it's interesting on the Letterboxd right now on their site, they have the picture of Katie, just with her back to Katie's back, and her facing everything, and it's beautiful, and you would think that that's concept art, but it's not. It's actually from the movie.
It's a still from the movie. Yeah.
Hmm. And one thing that Mike said, was the way that Lord and Miller pushed them, and he said, so we were like, what if it looks wildly different? And then they were like, oh, that sounds expensive. So we would push it as much as we could. And then we're like, and then they were like, I wish we'd pushed it further. And then we'd show it to Chris Miller and Phil Lord, and they would say, why don't, hey, push it further? Why are you guys accepting this?
Yeah.
So you can tell that there were so many ways that this movie could have just been average.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And they
Yeah.
really elevated it. I think through their artists, and I think much of it was elevated because of the art,
Hmm.
because of the animation. Everything else works though too. I mean, the characters are great. The script is very good. You know, but that's but for me, it
Hmm.
was really it was the animation.
Yeah. I mean, I think of like something like the Minions movie where they have this family going to Villain Con, which has like potential to be really funny,
Funny.
and then just nothing. It's just
Then
like,
it's just a grown
yeah, they
mess.
just do nothing interesting with it. And uh, so that could have easily been the case here. But you start off, and it's pretty alarming at first with her dad breaking her laptop.
Yeah.
That starts it on this very raw place.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
exactly. And yeah, and kind of sad. And again, really, just showing where their relationship is.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we get to meet the whole family, and then we also then meet Mark Bauman. He's the head of this telecommunications whatever company,
He's
and
he's
Apple basically.
yeah, I was gonna say he's Steve Jobs.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And he has a new line of robots,
He's kind of
which,
Steve Jobs slash Mark Zuckerberg in a way,
yeah,
with kind of
yeah,
like the youthful cockiness of a Zuckerberg.
like an
Yeah.
Elon Musk kind of too.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes. And
and
and a huge cult. I mean, he's like this, all these devoted followers that
yeah,
are just thrilled with every little step he makes,
right.
every little word he says.
Yeah, it's like Skynet, but pre pre Terminator. But yeah, he is getting rid of Pal, this basically like Siri kind of, sort of Alexa. It's kind of that
Yeah, this,
idea,
yeah,
personal.
and
Um,
on a phone, on a cell
mhm,
phone.
yeah, and he makes it obsolete, and he develops these robots. What did you
Called
think of sort of the design of the robots?
Pal Max. I thought they were great, because again, I think we've seen some of these robots that are currently developed, and
Hmm.
really looks like it. And then I also love how, even though it doesn't necessarily operate it, but it's like their face is almost like a cell phone, you know,
Right.
uh, even though that's not, how it works, because it's all
Uh-huh.
voice activated, but still, I thought the designs were cool. And also, I guess, just take a little step back, Rach. I like so PAL, the Siri type of thing
Yeah.
on the PAL phone. It's an animated face,
Hmm.
uh, voiced by Olivia Colman, who's brilliant.
Yeah, that was such a good choice.
Yeah. Uh, and but I really love how they animated that too. Very simple yet incredibly expressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed. Yep. And there's a whole sequence at the beginning where they're basically like caught in this sort of cafe, and they're kind of fighting back, and there's a lot of really good dialogue in those scenes.
Well,
A lot
I
of
agree.
funny things.
I agree that that's pretty funny. Yeah. So when, yeah, I mean, the poor Katie, her dad, rather than putting her on an airplane to go to college, he decides to do this road trip.
Which that is totally something my dad would do.
And I think we all can relate to that. And it's just like, really, because here she just wants to get away. Um, but that whole scene, when really the robot apocalypse starts happening in the heartland, where they are, as well as at, you know, PAL headquarters,
Yeah.
uh, is really great. I love the supporting characters of that perfect family too that kind of comes
Oh,
in
yeah.
and
They're good.
because they're there too at that same place when the robot apocalypse really starts kicking in.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and so Katie comes up with the idea to disguise the car as the road, as the middle of the road. And she just tries to get her dad to trust her with it, that it'll work. And then it actually
it
does.
works.
It
Yeah.
works. Yeah. So that was a nice moment. And that's when they meet the two robots, Eric and Deborah Bot 5000. I loved them. They were so funny.
That was so funny. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I love them too. Terrific.
and the bond that Linda gets with them almost immediately is
Yes,
hilarious. I love
hilarious.
that. um, and they find out that there's a kill code that they have to enter in order to shut the PAL down. And then we have a whole sequence where they're trying to kind of break into the mall to upload the kill code in there, and that was also really fun sequence.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm,
Definitely.
yeah, and then they are almost finished uploading. They get so close, and that's when you have the giant Furby. Which, I mean, I don't know if that will date this at all, but that Furbies are they still a thing?
I don't
Furbies?
know. I don't know if Furbies are still a thing. I was wondering that same thing. I was like, oh, too bad we can't go to Toys R Us, and see
I know.
if there's still Furbies. I mean, we could look online, but still.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that. Was really funny.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
hilarious. Yeah, and yeah, anybody who that was a fun, just a fun twist that brought in just, yeah, again,
Yeah.
great humor, something we can all relate to. And
Yeah. And the music was really fun
oh
in
yeah,
this. They have some soundtrack selections thing with bands like Talking Heads and things like that, but then they also have your score.
yeah, the great score by Mark Mothersbaugh,
Hmm.
and yeah, terrific.
It was really good. And so they almost are able to uh use the kill code, but the internet, the Wi-Fi goes out, so then they can't. And so they have to go to Silicon Valley, and this is when Katie finds out about her father and what he sacrificed.
Yeah,
That he loved living in the woods and in a cabin, and he gave it all up for his kids to be able to have them be closer to schools and things like that. And
yeah,
he still has the piece of the old cabin.
yeah. That little moose sculpture that was on
Mhm.
a like a finial kind
Yeah.
of thing. Yeah,
So that is really where you get the heart of the film.
and wasn't that well done?
So well done. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good.
I love that it was on a video camera, of course, the Sony, which
Right.
is perfect. But it worked. You know, it was a plot device that really helped explain that, and just because it was these old home videos, so Katie could see, because stuff she couldn't remember when she was so little,
Right.
and just how much, yeah, her dad adores her,
Yeah.
and I really loved how that was, how they did that.
Me too. It was so touching. I cried throughout and I laughed. I mean, this movie just has it all as far as emotions.
Yeah, it is.
Mhm.
It's because, and they do it, I think the emotions are authentic, and then the action is great. You know that when they're fighting, when they get to Silicon Valley and they have that whole big battle there.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, it reminded me like it's of Tron. Look
Yeah.
like, really cool design.
Yeah, they have a whole section in Silicon Valley where they are disguising themselves as robots and they
Yes.
go like undercover, and that is very, very fun. And you have Katie and Aaron working together, which was really sweet to
Yeah,
see.
I like that too.
hmm And they use Monchi to try to cause the
Oh, that's
robots to
so
malfunction
funny.
because of his appearance. It causes them to air out, which was so
It's
funny.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything with Munchie
Yeah, oh
was
yeah.
a win.
Yep.
He was one of the great cinematic
Perfect.
dogs.
Perfect dog. Yeah.
Yeah. And so then Mark, Rick, and Linda free themselves and upload the home movie of Katie's with Munchie to get the, and Katie and Aaron are captured, but then they explain why they will always stay connected as a family no matter what, and they kind of confront Hal and Pal and her cynicism about the
Yeah.
world.
Because, yeah, pal, exactly. That's so well said, Rachel. Such a cynical character. And then it's just over throughout the course of the film, just it's getting more, angrier and angrier over the Mitchells because they keep outsmarting her,
Yeah,
and yeah, but in a way, it's like she's trying to take the family out, which, I think is probably kind of like some of the deeper stuff going on in this film, because, in that earlier sequence when sadly the dad breaks Katie's laptop,
yeah,
uh, still though, I think, the dad's wanting human interaction. He's wanting to look at their faces, and they're all engrossed, including the mom. We're all engrossed on their phones
yeah.
and at the dinner table.
It kind of
And
it reminds me of, I absolutely adored a book called Finding Audrey. For It's by Sophie Kinsella, and it's so great. And every morning the mother will be reading the newspaper, which is probably outdated, but anyway, we're reading the newspaper and we'll find some study or some article to start worrying about and freaking out about. And one day her one son is super into video games. Like he wants it to be his career. Like he wants to go to
yeah.
competitions and everything, and she reads this article about video games rotting your mind or whatever, and you see you see her look at her son, and he's like, what did I do, what did I do? And then she starts, there's a whole scene where she is holding his laptop out of the window, and he's like, no. And I think
That's
it's that
great.
same kind of energy
Yeah.
here, that you're worried about your child and you're trying to do anything you can to help them, but at the same time you forget to kind of listen and really
Yeah.
just talk to
Yeah.
your children.
Yeah.
um so it captured that same energy. And I mean, obviously also the kids aren't, because they see the parents as authority figures and not like real humans. And so they're not particularly listening well either, but
Right.
obviously they're the children. So
Yeah.
But anyway, I just
It
think it
all comes
captures that
together.
dynamic. It captured the
Yeah.
dynamic really well, and it
Oh
just
yeah.
brings the so much heart into the movie.
Hmm.
It's so good.
Yeah. Agreed.
And I just loved Eric and Deb Robot so much. They were so funny, and they're kind of they save everybody in the end. It's
Yeah.
very exciting.
Which is so great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Love that.
yeah. And the humans are freed, and the robots disabled, except for Eric and Deborah Bot. And so they are able to clean things up pretty quick. Katie ends up at college, and uh, is get then they end up all together to get the Congressional Medal of Honor.
Yeah, and they decide rather than just fly or meet up in Washington D.C., they decide to road trip it,
Hmm. Yeah,
which I love.
yeah.
It's yeah.
And I loved all the voice talent that they got. I think that Danny McBride does such a great job as Rick.
Oh, he's fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah. And Abby Jacobson as Katie, I was not familiar with her
yeah. I
before
don't know. I'm
this.
not familiar with her either, and she was terrific. Yeah,
Hmm.
she's great.
Yeah. And it didn't feel like one of those adults voicing, children. Kind of like I really enjoyed the Captain Underpants movie, but the one thing I would have changed is have I would have had children in
Hmm.
there. I mean, there's younger characters, but still,
Yeah.
it didn't feel that way here. I guess she's on the show Broad City,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
a
Yeah, I think
Comedy
I read
Central
that
show.
too when I was yeah.
Yeah, she did great. I really enjoyed her. I mean, you have definitely some unnecessary celebrity voices like you do with all practically
Every
all
animated
anime.
film
Yeah, these
they
days.
have to have the kind of this stunt casting,
Yeah. Like, we didn't really need John Legend and Chrissy Teigen in this movie.
No, but I kind of thought it was hilarious in that they're kind of poking fun of their uh,
Social media.
social media presence that looks so perfect. You know,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. And they have Alex Hirsch actually doing a
I
voice.
like that. I saw that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is fun. And, Fred Armisen as Deborah Bott 5000.
yeah,
Uh,
and Beck Bennett,
mhm.
both of Saturday Night Live fame. Yeah,
Yeah. And so that's really fun. And like I said, the soundtrack, Talking Heads, BTS, a bunch of, popular uh songs, and then you also have that they have Los Campesinos, Sigur Rós, Talking Heads, Grimes, La Tegra, BTS, The Meishi, and Median. And they have an original song, and like you said, the score by Mark Mothersbaugh was excellent.
yeah,
Hmm. So they did a good job mixing, because you don't see soundtracks that often in animation.
right.
It's usually original songs. You don't usually see curating uh, a soundtrack very
Hmm.
often. So I liked that. That was
Yeah,
really
I thought
good.
it worked really well too in this film.
Hmm. So Netflix ended up buying it for $110 million, and it was originally they had it as Mitchell's versus Machines, and then they switched it over to being called Connected. And I don't know about you, but I think Mitchell's versus Machines way better than
I
Connected.
agree because when I first heard about this project, it was as connected,
Yeah,
and I thought, well, okay. I mean, well, I guess we'll just see. And I was feeling, read the story premise or whatever, the story summary. I think the Mitchells versus Machines is a lot better
yeah,
too. It's just much more descriptive of the film that ended up getting made.
yeah. And I guess they had like a very brief, only in a few cities, theatrical
Yeah,
distribution.
did it even show up here in Salt Lake
I don't
City?
think so,
I don't see. Yeah, I don't think it did.
which is such a shame
A
because I
bummer.
would love to
I'd
see
love to see
it.
it on the big screen.
I hope that for some of these movies that go straight to streaming, maybe in future years we at least get like a Fathom Event or something like that for
Yes,
just a
I
day
hope so too.
to be able to see Soul and be able to
Yes, I know.
see
That's exactly what I was
Luca.
thinking of. I wanted to see Soul,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then upcoming Luca, and yeah,
And I think Vivo is going to be direct to streaming and through
Oh, okay.
Netflix. Yeah, that was just announced, and it would be nice just to be able to see them one time on the big
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
they did just release Scoob, which had just
Oh,
gone
I
to
saw that.
just to streaming on
Is that on HBO Max?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
And then now it's out in the theaters.
It's in theaters, I mean. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because
Sorry.
it
It
originally had
was.
just gotten just streaming,
Yeah.
but if they want to keep it exclusive, I think you could. I don't think that having a Fathom event counts as like a real release, so you could still call it exclusive.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm wrong on that. I don't know, but it would be nice. It would be really really nice,
Yeah.
and I mean, I personally, I would see a sequel. I would love to see what happens more with Katie and the whole
Oh,
family,
for
and
sure. They could totally have another
mm,
adventure, you
mhm.
know.
Yeah, like maybe the next one could actually be from Aaron's perspective. That would be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be
Mhm.
fun. They're such fun
So,
characters. They could
hmm
definitely.
yeah. And so I just really enjoyed it. And so I wanted to celebrate it. I want people to hopefully watch it. It seems like at first I thought of doing this for obscure animation because I thought, oh, this is going to get lost. No one's going to see it. Even though I tweeted out, this is going to be something people are going to love this movie after I saw it. And uh, fortunately, it seems like people are seeing it. And
Yeah, I think people are seeing it and people
yeah.
are enjoying it. Yeah. That
So
makes me happy
me
too
too.
that it didn't get lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope that it doesn't get lost come awards season.
Oh, I
Um,
wouldn't. Yeah, I hope so too. And I would think that it wouldn't, that Sony's really going to be
mhm.
pushing it because they know they've got something really
Yeah.
special on their
I
hands.
mean, I think this is going to be a great year for animation, but if this doesn't end up on my top 10, I will be shocked of the year just because I love it so much. So, that'll mean it's a really great year if
Yeah.
that's the case.
Yeah.
So I really had a great time. So thanks for talking about it with me. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
thank you. Thanks for including me again. Yeah, what an entertaining movie. And I said, yeah, I
Yeah.
wish them all much happiness and success for their great work.
So let us know if you're listening what you think. What were your favorite parts? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And Stanford, where can people find you?
Uh, on Twitter, I'm at Stanford Clark, and I've got a movie podcast and blog at moviespastandpresent.com.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews, all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave us your ratings and reviews. We appreciate that so much. And if you are listening on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. And also check out the Hallmarkies podcast. We have lots of fun stuff going on over there. So thanks, everybody. And let us know if you have any other films that you'd like us to talk about. We'd be curious. And we'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
Hey, bye.